Hello Internet and welcome to historical headlines for the 8th of January. The Finns spank the Soviet Union with a rake. Not safe for work. I have previously spoken about the Winter War, the 3-month-long fight between the Soviet Union and the Finnish Republic in the late days of 1939 and the early month of 1940, with a kind of renewal in the latter years of the war. It was a blatant Soviet attempt to either retake the province that the Empire of Russia had lost in 1917, or to at least take on several parts of Finland that they felt they needed for either security or just for expansion purposes. As mentioned in the previous video I did about this, the Soviets threw in 500,000 men and heavy material regarding air forces and mechanized vehicles, but yet spent 3 months fighting a slogging quagmire against the heavily outnumbered, heavily outgunned, and heavily outsupplied, but stubbornly brave and incredibly badass Finnish forces. In my previous video, which was about the Battle of Tolvajärvi, I described Finland's first great victory of the Winter War, and today I'm going to be talking about its greatest victory in the Winter War, namely the Battle of Sulmusalmi, where Colonel Hjalmar Sillasvui, again with severely understrength forces, managed to save Finland from being bisected by Soviet forces and the main Finnish army at the Karelian Peninsula being surrounded by destroying 2 entire divisions of Soviet forces, including one armored with little more than a brigade strength of his own. To give you the overview of the battle, I hereby hand you over to our time-traveling correspondent, Tim Saitson.
Yes, thank you, Studio. From the beginning of the war, it was obvious that the Soviet planning had been thinking about a huge pincer maneuver. Their main forces were to hold the Finnish in place at their defenses around the old city of Viborg on Karelia, while also, of course, attempting to crush those defenses, while superior forces in the north would take the city of Oulu, cut across to the coast, cut Finland in twain, and then take the main Finnish defense line in Karelia from the rear, forcing a complete surrender and a takeover of the country. Of course, the Soviet plans had been blunted quite thoroughly at the Battle of Tolvajärvi and the staunch Finnish defenses at the primary lines around Karelia. However, in the north things were originally a lot more promising. The Soviets had easily taken the small and badly defended border city of Sulmusalmi, and from there they could strike out against Oulu, winning the war with one quick and powerful blow. However, their opponents are the Finns, and if there is one thing we learned previously, it's that you do not invade Finland in wintertime. The Finnish High Command sent Colonel Hjalmar Sillasvui north with a single regiment in order to chase the Soviets down, or at least hold them until reinforcement could arrive. Colonel Sillasvui wasted absolutely no time in trying to counterattack when he reached the area around the 7th of December, but was beaten back with losses. However, he did manage to gain successful containment of the Soviet forces who were trying to build up their own numerical superiority to a spectacular level. At this point, the 163rd Russian Infantry Division was stationed in and around Sulmusalmi, but with Sillasvui's counterattack, even though it was unsuccessful, the Russians dug in for a while to re-await the arrival of the 44th Armored Division that was coming up as support. However, on Christmas Eve, reinforced by another 2 regiments, thus bringing his strength up to brigade size, Colonel Sillasvui struck hard and fast against the Soviets, utilizing quick strikes against internal communication of the Soviet lines and utilizing their knowledge of the local terrain and the much more winter-adapted equipment the Finns were equipped with. They managed to strike a powerful blow at the 163rd Division, cutting it into twain, with half of it fleeing desperately towards the Soviet border, and the other half eventually being forced to surrender to the Finns. Colonel Sillasvui, knowing that the 44th Armored Rifle Division was also coming up against his meager forces, quickly reorganized them and struck out to catch the Soviets off foot. The 44th Division had been caught in the retreat of the 163rd and was disorganized when the Finns struck them with full fury. Using the Motti technique of cutting cutting off smaller portions of the Soviet forces, isolating them, completely surrounding them, and annihilating them where they stood. The Finns, in a battle lasting 4 days, managed to destroy the pitiful remnants of the 163rd and the entire 44th Armored Rifle Division, freeing central Finland from Russian pressions and also saving the war effort for the foreseeable future. A spectacular piece of military strategic and tactical brilliance, and we are fortunate enough here to be standing with Colonel Sillasvui for an interview. Colonel Sillasvui, can you confirm just how happy you must feel after having achieved this magnificent victory over superior Russian army forces?
Yes.
Okay, is there anything more you wish to add, and perhaps say something about what your future plans are? Do you intend to follow the Soviets or turn further south to secure the communications line to the main army of Karelia?
Yes.
Well, I am glad we got confirmation of that. On behalf of all of our listeners, I am sure they will join us in wishing you a good luck in your future military endeavors, and hopefully you will keep us updated on your future successes.
Yes.
Wow, what an interview. It's not every day you catch a Finn being this verbose. He must be over the moon after his magnificent victory here at Sulmusalmi. And wait, what? Who? No, wait, why are you? Don't take my microphone, I'm about to use it to talk to people.
Okay, shut up, you. This has got to stop, Sage. You have me on your phone. You could have asked me to do this video with you. I could have done all the Finnish pronunciations for you. What the fuck are you thinking? It's Tolvajärvi, Sillasvuo, Suomussalmi, and especially the town's name is Oulu, not Oulu, or whatever the fuck you said. Perkele. Anyway, now that I've corrected you, please, let's go back to the studio.
I'm sorry, Annie. I'm really sorry. I'm just glad you grabbed the microphone instead of other things on the naked interviewer. Anyway, the Battle of Sulmusalmi was actually a rather spectacular Finnish success and a rather spectacular Soviet defeat, with forces at no point amounting to more than a reinforced brigade. Colonel Sillasvui managed to take down 2 full Soviet divisions and save not just central Finland, but possibly the entire war effort, and in the end, the entire country. He did this by relying on the inherent badassness of his soldiers, their winter-adapted equipment, and their local knowledge, as well as lightning strikes on Soviet communications, and taking advantage of the fact that the Soviet officer corps was still at this point fairly weak after the Stalinistic purges of the 1930s. Utilizing tactics that were at the same time incredibly direct and uncomplicated, which meant there were fewer things that could go wrong, while also super effective because they left the Soviets with no real chance of performing a single massive counterattack to capture him off balance. Colonel Sillasvui managed to achieve what was, without any real doubt, the greatest single Finnish victory of the war, and one that, in my opinion, should be studied by far more military tacticians today. Anyway, this was the historical headline for the 8th of January. I shall return tomorrow with another one. Until then, I have been the Sage, and I wish you all a very happy day.